What's up, everybody? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel, and then follow me on social media on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter so you guys don't miss any of our content over the course of this season. All right, let's talk some basketball. The Knicks blew out the Nets in Brooklyn last night, and then 2 days after, 2 days earlier, I should say, they went into LA and beat the Lakers too. They took a couple of tough losses earlier this month on the road in Milwaukee and Boston. Those are really tough games to win, and those are the two best teams in the conference, right? But outside of those two games, so in the 19 games outside of their last, in their last 21, outside of the two games that they played against Boston and Milwaukee, they're 14-5. And they're fourth in offense overall since November 4th. That's a significant chunk of time. That's the majority of the season to this point. In that span, both Randle and Brunson are averaging 25 points per game. Jalen Brunson, 25, 4, and 6 on 62% true shooting, and Julius Randle on 25, 9, and 5 on 60% true shooting. Now, the defense has fallen apart since Mitchell Robinson got hurt, and we found out last night he's going to be out for the season. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the Knicks are giving up 120 points per 100 possessions over their last 6 games. Big part there is the lack of rim protection. Again, Isaiah Hartenstein is a really good player who fits really well with this unit. Both Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson have a unique ability to engage help defenders. And like Randle just by bullying fours and drawing the rim protector in, Jalen Brunson pulling the rim protector out in his drop coverage when he needs to contest Brunson's floaters and mid-range jump shots and stuff. And every time they do that, it just ends up with Hartenstein either with a smaller player pinned on him underneath the basket or just by himself. And he had another 5 offensive rebounds last night. He's just killing teams on the glass. Hartenstein's great. But obviously, when you have some small perimeter personnel outside of Julius Randle and you don't have rim protection, it's just hard to guard. And so that's something that we've been seeing. Now, obviously, like I talked about last week, the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the teams that could potentially be looking to make some decision. Now, they've been playing some decent basketball as of late, but as I've been talking about, Donovan Mitchell, it very well could be, comes available as a trade target this year. And that was one of the guys that the Knicks were originally after. And I wouldn't be surprised if they look to go that route again. And so we have 2 Knicks fans on my team here at Hoops Tonight. Shout out to Paul Farrington and Josh Rodriguez. They are both instrumental to the day-to-day stuff with this show. And they're both Knicks fans. And I was asking them about whether or not they would want Donovan Mitchell. And it was split down the middle. One of the guys wanted him, one of the other guys not so much. And I find this to be an interesting example of team building that I wanted to talk about. So one of the things that we've talked about, or I should say one of the things that Knicks fans have been talking a lot about is, man, like they just don't have any shot creation beyond Jalen Brunson, and it just turns into that one-man show and things fall apart. And I understand that when you look at what happened last year in the postseason, which was Jalen Brunson was incredible and damn near got you to the conference finals. Literally, you had a chance to win Game 6 in Miami. It was this close, where you would have gone home and had a good opportunity to win that series, right? But Julius Randle was terrible. And because he was terrible, they had no second option, and the Knicks lost. But I'm a firm believer that Julius Randle is actually the kind of player who should do well in the playoffs. The problem is he's very much a rhythm player. And he was hurt last year. He messed up his ankle right before the postseason. And like, again, when I say rhythm player, there are a lot of guys out there. You ever see that guy? I have a friend like this, a guy, this guy like could go 12 years without touching a basketball. And then I could put him in a gym and he'd shoot the ball well. And like legitimately, he never plays. And when he does go play for whatever reason, or if him and I go shooting around or something, he just still has his touch and stuff because he played a lot when he was younger. He just has very natural rhythm. Kevin Durant's a guy like this. Like Kevin Durant could go without touching a basketball or without playing in an NBA game for 2 months and then step on the floor and more or less look like the KD that we know, right? Rhythm players, like they kind of have to get their stuff going, right? Like I very much am a rhythm player. Like that's why I'm super hyper diligent on my shooting workouts every day. Because if I go 4 days without doing my shooting workouts, my shot and my handle will fall apart. Like I am very much a rhythm player. I have to be super diligent about my work. in order to be a good basketball player. And I think Julius Randle kind of falls into that category. Like he needs to be playing, 20 games in a row or so for him to kind of get into his groove and be the idealized version of himself, which is what he's doing right now. He's been healthy and he's been playing really well as a result. But I don't necessarily think that's the issue. They were literally, you get anything out of Randle last year, you're in the conference finals. And obviously, is this Knicks team capable of reaching the Boston-Milwaukee level? Probably not unless they make a trade, right? But I'm just not necessarily sure Donovan Mitchell is the guy that I'd go after. First of all, I think he's just kind of redundant. I think he's the same type of player as Jalen Brunson. Is a pick and roll scorer who can pass, but is more of a heliocentric pick and roll scorer, right? As I've talked about a lot on this show, I look at this ideal archetype of a basketball team, right? You got to have a skill guard, point of attack guard, tall, lanky wing, strong power wing, athletic center that can switch. We were talking about Minnesota earlier. Minnesota fits that mold literally perfectly. It's Mike Conley's your skill guard, Ant's your athletic point of attack guard, Jaden McDaniels is your tall, slender forward, Karl Towns is your big, strong forward, Rudy Gobert is your athletic center that can switch and drop. Right? And why would you make the same mistake the Cavs made and put another two small guards together that are redundant, right? I like the idea of having Jalen Brunson be the skill guard next to a point of attack elite, a guard, off-ball guard. To me, that's where RJ Barrett should be. What they need a really good three, right? Julius Randle is your power forward that can attack matchups. And then ideally, when you're healthy, it's Mitchell Robinson. And Mitchell Robinson being hurt might be one of the best things that could happen to this team because it might stop them from doing something stupid like going after Donovan Mitchell. In my opinion, you patiently wait to see who you can put at that three. Because if I have Brunson, Barrett with Randle, Robinson in a really good three that is an elite shooter, and that can guard multiple positions on the perimeter, now we're talking about a team that actually has a chance to go beat a team like Boston or Milwaukee in the playoffs. And so that I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be a guy that can help some teams. I just am not sure that New York is the team that he can specifically help. I've seen, a lot of people talking about them waiting on Embiid potentially. That's another one that I would think is smart. If you could upgrade Mitchell Robinson into Joel Embiid, you can get away with a lesser player at the three, maybe a veteran minimum type of guy, right? But it's those two positions, the 5 and the 3, that I'd be looking to upgrade, not the 2. It's certainly not with a guy who more or less is a 1, which is what you already have in Jalen Brunson. And as you guys know, I think Jalen Brunson's just better than Donovan Mitchell. I basically said that last year. That's why I picked the Knicks to beat the Cavs. I was like, I think Brunson's going to outplay Mitchell, and he did. So I just don't think that's the route they need to go.